there, Sue Stapp here. I have a card I'd like to share with you today. Thanks for stopping in. I have been playing with this cute little bird set. It's called Better With You, and I just love him. He just looks like he'd be adorable. And so wait till you see all the colors I made with him. This is, it looks like, close. And then I'm also using a set called Around the Corner. Now, Around the Corner is exactly as it says. The messages go around the corner, which is really cute on a card. It adds an extra dimension, and it has several different fonts and some extra little squiggly things and designs. And I thought that it looked really cute with the bird. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. These are photopolymer stamps, the Around the Corner, and the other is the red rubber clear mount. So the card we're doing is him. And I watercolored him on glossy paper. So I'm going to show you how I did that. First of all, I stamped it with StazOn ink. I use StazOn whenever I'm going to be doing watercolor so it doesn't blur the lines with the Memento or the basic black. So I went ahead and stamped that. I have one of those here to show you because it's basically just stamping on the paper. So it comes out like that. And what we're going to do is whenever I do my watercolor, I use the lids of my stamp pads. And I have Balmy Blue, and I have So Saffron is the yellow I used, and the brown is the soft suede. I just thought that the look of that was really good. But you can see what I do is I squeeze the tops on there, and then I can paint with them. And let me show you the blue. I have it. I don't. Yes, I do. I have to do that. So just kind of give it a squeeze like that, and then open your stamp pad. That didn't get very much. I'd like to have a little more than that. So I'm going to squeeze a little harder and more towards the middle. And let's see if we've got more. Oh yeah. So I'm going to set those over here, and I'm using our water pen, our aqua painter. And I have a paper towel handy. I always like to have that there. And what I like to do is just get the water flowing a little bit. And I'm going to start with the blue on here. And I just get a little drop in the lid here. Oops, I got a big drop. And the more water you put in, the lighter the color will be. So let's see how this goes on here. I started at the bottom. Oh yeah, that's pretty light. I want to add in a little bit more of the pigment area there. Oh yeah, that's more like what I want. And I just painted in the lines. Pretty much, I tried to anyway. And what I did was, as you use this, you can squeeze a little bit of water, or as the paint, or the dye, the ink, blends out, it gets a little bit thinner. And you can always put a little extra water on there and you get a lighter look, see? So I went from a little bit darker to lighter. And I'm doing that so that it looks like I have some shading on the bird. And I'm gonna go back, get a little bit more of the darker to do the bottom for that shading. And I'm just gonna go up to the little neck there. And I think that'll do me for the blue. And to clean your pen, you just rub it back and forth on the paper towel. And then now I'm going to use the yellow, So Saffron. And again, just gonna put my little drop of water in there. Now, I've used this before, so there's already some here in here, so I didn't have to squeeze it. And then I'm going to put the yellow on the bird. I'm gonna leave the branch and not have anything on it because I'd like to do that in the brown. But I do want to have the yellow here. And look how easy this just flows on this glossy paper. It is just amazing. I love using it. And it dries really quick, which is a good thing. You have a little bit of time to blend it, but it will dry rather quickly. So if you're adding colors, like this yellow right up next to the blue, I can do that. It's not going to bleed in there. So that is my yellow. I'm not going to do it any darker. It will dry a little lighter, as all watercoloring does. And so what I'm going to do next is I have the branch. And for the branch, I wanted it a little darker, so I'm using a little bit more of my ink. And I'm going to start up here at the top and just kind of give it a couple little strokes down here. And soft suede is a great color because it's not terribly dark, but you can always darken it up by adding multiple coats, and it gives you a little bit more ability to control that. So I'm going to dab just a little bit of the darker on now. See how much darker it goes on? That's just going to give us a little shading on this side of the branch. And I'll put that there, put a little down here. And I'm going to color in his claws and his beak with my Stampin' Up marker, because it's a little bit more precise, and as you can see with the watercoloring, it does flow, but that's the look that you want for watercoloring. So I think it looks great. Now I did leave this one here white with no color on it, so I'm going to add a little bit of, just a touch of blue around there. Beautiful. Love that. That's just what I wanted, just a hint. Okay, so now we'll make the card. When I use this, I use the cardstock. I have Balmy Blue. Love that new color. And this piece is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then the white piece that we're going to cut, we want to cut this one 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my little birdie on here. And I need 3 1/2, which is about there. So let's just take a quarter off here and turn it around, and 3 1/2. That's going to get too much of its tail. I need a little bit more. I didn't measure this before I did it, so 3 1/2. That's going to be perfect. Just a little tiny bit off. And then for this side, let's do, this also has to be 3 1/2. And it's longer because it's usually a standard size that I use is the 5 1/4 by 4. So let's cut him about there. And then let's bring this over here to 3 1/2. And there we go. There's our birdie. He's so cute. And I love my Stampin' Trimmer. It's great because as you saw, you can measure from both sides. It also has a ruler on the flap here, so you can see where you're going if you're making a square like I was in this case. Okay, so now we're going to use some Memento ink, and that's the Tuxedo Black. That's my black ink of choice. I usually use that. And this is the hello there that goes around. It's from around the corner. And these are photopolymer, so they are clear. And you mount those to an acrylic block like I have done here. Now on these, since they don't have any cushioning, you want to have a little cushioning under your paper. Now I have a mat under here and my paper, so I think I have enough to take care of that. And I'm going to stamp this, let's see, down in this corner. That's what I did before. I think I'll put a piece of scratch paper over my birdie, just so in case I get something on that acrylic block. Can't be too careful, you know. And then I'm going to come up here, right in that corner, and do the hello there. Whoops. On the glossy paper, sometimes your stamps will stick a little bit whenever you first do them, like that one just did. And then I'm going to do this other corner up here in the top. And I'll be a little bit more careful and not get so much ink on my acrylic block this time, so I don't have to have my scratch paper. There we go. And that is the white portion that we're going to do. Now we're going to mount that on the blue, the balmy blue. That was 3 3/4 square. And I have my standard A2 size card, which is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. It's a half of an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of paper scored in the middle. So that's going to go on here. Now I did one additional thing. I took my corner rounder and I rounded the 2 corners that don't have the stamp on them, just to give it a little bit of something, something. I'm doing that off screen, so hang on 1 second. See, just did those 2 corners there. And now whenever I put that on here, it just gives them a little something different, little something to look. And I'm going to use my snail on here because I don't need anything heavy duty, no tear and tape or anything. There's not a lot of weight here. And I'm going to put that on first, and then I like to mount it to my card front. So let's put this up here. We'll put him up here. And then at the bottom, I have 2 strips. I have balmy blue cut again, and I have this cut at 7/8 of an inch wide. And I just use a scrap on this, but if you do it around 3 inches, it'll work out just about right for you. And then there's white, there's a white piece that goes in there that's 5/8 of an inch. And that's gonna sit right in here, and that's gonna have our little sentiment on it. So let's put our sentiment on here. And I'm gonna use the balmy blue again. And the sentiment says, the good things in life are better with you. And that is in that stamp set with the bird. So let's do it in the balmy blue. And I'm just gonna center this. I hope my head doesn't get in the frame, but if it does, excuse my head. Oh, perfect. So that is all we need of that stamp set, our stamp pad. And what I do, because this is so small, I am gonna go ahead and just do my fishtail ends. And the easy way that I do that, if it's a small piece like this and I don't want to get out my triple banner punch, is I just put a snip up the middle, and then I go from corner up to that snip. And that gives me a pretty equal fishtail each time. And I just eyeball the middle. If you want to, you could take a pencil and do a little dot where that would be. But really, it's so close that I don't have a problem doing it that way. And then this one, we're gonna do this about 3 inches. So let me get that on my paper trimmer here and do 3 inches. And that piece is gonna go here on the bottom. And then our sentiment's gonna go right on top of it. So again, I'm gonna do my layering before I put it on the card, just in case. Oops, I didn't cut that very well. Shame on me. Let's see. I'm gonna have to trim that a little bit. That's better. Okay, so back to putting on my little sentiment. And I didn't sponge around the edges on this because you have the blue back behind it, and I think that that's sufficient. And then I'm going to put the snail on here. Oops, that little piece I trimmed off. I'm just gonna center this under the bird. And really, if you wanted to, you could add embellishments. You could put some rhinestones on here. You could add little buttons, or like I said, rhinestones or pearls or whatever. I just think it looks so nice to have the bird having the main focal point. And I like the little hello there that goes around the corner. So again, those stamp sets are around the corner and better with you. And if you're interested, you can go to my website at SueStapp.stampinup.net, and there is a store there. You can make purchases of the items that we have in our catalogs. And speaking of which, our new holiday catalog will be coming out on September 1st or 2nd or 3rd. I think it's the 3rd. It's after Labor Day. So there will be an announcement coming out on that, and you can look at all the beautiful sets that are in the new holiday catalog. I've already got a couple of them because one of the advantages of being a demonstrator is I get to pre-order items. So I get the preview the items and then pre-order them so that I can prepare some as samples, because whenever I do my workshops, I like to have different samples for the cards. Now, speaking of which, I told you I played around with this stamp set quite a bit. So this is the one that I did. I want to show you a couple more. And I got a little creative with my colors. I just felt that it was a playful look. Now, I used the tufted embossing folder, but I put it down instead of up. So I have this diamond pattern behind there. And then I have the blue and the purple, and I put in the watercolor there. And then the sentiment on this says, "You are capable of amazing things." And that is also in that Better With You stamp set. And I put a little pearl on each end just as an accent. I did this one with the colors of the robin, and I didn't do a lot of blending on this. I was just kind of playing around, so I did that one. And then I did the dark blue, and I think that's a Pacific Point, and I used that one. Now this is one of the bigger ones that goes around the corner, and it says "It's your day," and then it's got some little candles, so I thought that was cute. I just hand dotted this around the edge with the 2 colors I used. And then I did this one. Again, I used the tufted folder upside down, and this is one of the dies, the new thin lot dies that is decorative, and I used that along the base. Then I got really creative with my watercolors. I started just making the background like he's sitting up in a tree, and I kind of like that. This is that same saying, "Good things in life are better with you." And my mom's favorite bird was always the cardinal. And so I thought, well, maybe I can modify this to make it look like a cardinal. So this is what I came up with, and I think he looks pretty good. Mom's not here to enjoy it, but every time I see a cardinal, I think of her. Now, in our backyard, we have a lot of birds. We have a wooded lot, and yesterday there were a couple of these little yellow birds, I think they're canaries. And so I thought, well, why not do a little yellow one? So I did yellow, and then I got crazy with the purple. I did another robin that I tried to blend a little better, and I gave him that deeper rust color for his chest. I did a bluebird. I did this with actually I used the alcohol markers or Stampin' Blends for this one and this one. And I find that I can blend better with the water pen, the aqua pen, than I can with the alcohol markers. But that's probably because I've been using the aqua pen for years and have only been playing with the Stampin' Blends for about 3 or 4 months. So I'll get better with those, and I do like playing, as you can see. So that is what I wanted to show you today for those stamp sets. Now, I am going to be back with another video shortly that is the unveiling of our August paper pumpkin. It just came in the mail yesterday, and I want to share that with you. So please stay tuned to the next video, and thanks for joining me. If you'd like to, you can respond via YouTube. You can email me at susstap1@gmail.com, or my Stampin' Up website, which is susstap.stampinup.net. So I hope you find some creative inspiration from these cards. And if you need any of the supplies on here and you don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I'd be happy to provide that with you and get all the new catalogs to you too. So again, thanks for joining me, and happy stamping.